So this is what I have bought for my Christmas lunch. I have turkey. And this is a turkey thigh joint. So let's take it out of the packaging. It's already got pepper on it by the looks. It's been got black pepper on it. We're going to add some more seasoning. First of all, we're going to take the bone out. So there's the bone out. So here's the bone, and I'm going to put it into a saucepan of water, put it on the stove, and we're going to boil it as if we're making stock. Now, normally when I make stock, I'll add a bay leaf in there, some peppercorns and some other bits and pieces. I'm not doing that today because I'm going to use this stock to make my stuffing with. And as the stuffing's going to have all its own flavours in it, I don't think I need to add flavours to the stock. So what I've done here now is I've just sort of flattened it out a little bit so it'll make it easier for when I put some stuffing on it and then roll it up. So let's make the stuffing. So this is the ingredients for my stuffing besides salt and pepper. I have a slice of stale white bread, a half dozen sage leaves, clove of garlic, some onion, a few cranberries and a pork sausage. And that is going to make my stuffing. Now I didn't buy sausage meat because you have to buy so much and I wasn't probably going to use it all. So I just bought a packet of sausages. I've taken one out to make this with, and the rest I'll eat as sausages. So I've got my food processor out, so let's go. Into the food processor, I'm just going to drop in the bread. Break it up a little bit because it makes it go down a little bit easier. Throw my sage leaves, throw my garlic. Just going to chop the onion up a little bit. Throw in the onion. Cranberries are not going in yet. Skin the sausage. Just going to throw that in bits. As always, nothing's measured. And this is on my food processor. I'm going to give it a blitz. A bit more. That's going to do. add my cranberries. That's why I break them down a little bit. And that will do. Right, so I'm now going to put that into a bowl. It's not actually a mixing bowl, but it'll work because I haven't got that much. I don't need a big mixing bowl. And that's my stuffing in there. Add a little salt and pepper. And we'll come back to that in a moment when my stock's ready to add. And I'll add a little bit of that stock just to moisten it up a little bit. But we'll come back shortly. Right, I have my saucepan out now. We're going to make the cranberry sauce. Now, I've zeroed off the saucepan on the scales here. So I have two 250 gram packages. Obviously I took 6 out, but I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm not going to put those in yet, because for each 250 grams I need around about 100 grams of orange juice. So let's put in 200 grams of orange juice. It's actually just gone over. I don't know if you can see that. It says 202. I'm not going to worry about that. Now, a lot of recipes call for brown sugar in this and all sorts of dark sugars. I'm not too keen on it made with lots of dark sugar. So anyway, what I'm going to add is I'm going to make it, I need 200 grams of sugar. So I'm going to leave it a little bit light actually, because I think it makes it too sweet if you have too much sugar. So I'm going to actually add about 180 grams. So I'm going to add 90 grams of white sugar. So here goes. Right, that's 90 grams of white sugar. And that does say 292, so that's 90 grams. And I'm also going to add 90 grams of brown sugar. I don't think this will pour, so I'm going to add it by spoon. This is light brown sugar. So I need to bring that up to 382, wouldn't it be? Around that area. Put too much in, I'm going to just take a little bit out. There we go. That I'm going to dump. And then my cranberries. Got 500 grams of cranberries. Then I'm going to bring those to the boil. Cranberries are on here now. My bone's boiling away, and my cranberries are warming up. And we'll put the scales away. You probably thought there, gee whiz, Trevor's got scales. Yes, I do. Yes, I don't measure things very often. I think something like this, I don't want it too sweet, and I don't want it too runny. So getting it around about the right quantities is more important than me just guessing every time, or doing it Trevor's way. Now as the cranberries start to warm through there and the juice starts to boil away, you'll hear them start to pop as they pop open. Now this can make a mess everywhere, so a lid sometimes is preferable, but the trouble is you don't want to put a lid on, because it's like making jam. You can't make jam with a lid on. You're better off using a larger pot actually. I probably should have done that, but guess what, I didn't. Right, I'm just stirring them in a bit to make sure they all get cooked at the same sort of rate. Now a lot of recipes will call for using frozen cranberries. These are fresh ones, as you probably noticed. I've got fresh ones out. I just prefer it with fresh ones. Probably doesn't make a blind bit of difference. I just think when I use frozen ones, which I've done once and once only, I thought the cranberry sauce was a little bit watery. You may be wondering why I'm making so much cranberry sauce for one person. I'm not. I'm making the cranberry sauce actually to take to my parents' house for Christmas. So I'm going to only have a little bit of it with my roast turkey, which I'm making here on the boat, and the rest of it will be jarred and taken to my parents' house for Christmas. It's starting to spit all over my cooker here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to set on an oversized lid, so I'm basically using it as a splatter guard. What I've actually done here now is I've raised the lid up with a couple of pieces of kindling just to make sure the steam can escape, but the lid will still act as a bit of a splatter guard so I don't end up with cranberry sauce stuck all over my cooker. I'm just going to test it for sweetness. I'm just going to dip a teaspoon into it. You have to take my word for this, I can't keep moving the camera. Yeah, I think that's about right. It's got some tartness to it still, but a little bit of sweetness as well, if you know what I mean. That's about perfect for sweetness for me. It basically stopped popping now, all the cranberries are popped open, so it's a lot easier to... I've taken my firewood off and my lid off. The lid can go back on the turkey now. Well, I have 3 jars here. I think 3 jars will be enough. I'm going to wash them with a tiny little bit of bleach water in hot water. Then I'm going to rinse them out in hot water to make sure they're sterilised. But a little on top of that, I'm then going to put them, or I have to use the grill because my oven doesn't work, under the grill and get them hot so I know they're sterilised. But I just want to make sure they're properly cleaned first and there's no bacteria left on them or whatever. So I'm going to put them in a bowl of hot water with a splash of bleach. I mean a splash, just enough to kill anything off that might be in there. Well, my jars are in the bowl. I poured boiling water into them, then tipped them out and turned them over. The lids are in there too. I just sort of turn them around ever so often. Pretty much pre-sterilised. Now, I've used bleach, but of course, if you had something like Milton, babies, sterilising fluids, that would work perfectly too, as well, or any sterilising stuff you might have. But I don't on the boat, and you don't have to worry too much about bleach. Although I'm going to rinse it all off with hot water before I put them in under the grill to actually dry them out and make them very hot. Bleach evaporates very, very quickly under temperature. That's why swimming pools, which is, your bleach in swimming pools, basically your chlorine is bleach, they have to keep adding it because it evaporates off so quick, and that's just under the sun. Obviously in boiling hot water, it evaporates off quite quickly, so you don't have to worry about it. But to make sure there's no taste, I've got the kettle reboiling at the moment, so I'm going to rinse them out with boiling water again in a moment. Right, I've just rinsed the jars out in boiling water, and they're under my grill, and I'm just going to shut it up so they get nice and hot. Right, I've just slid the rack out so I can get the jars easier. They've been in there for about 20 minutes now, red hot. So let's take them out and put the cranberry sauce in them. Right, I'm going to spoon it in, just so I try not to make too much of a mess. So of course I can't pick these pots up because they're very, very hot. You can hear how hot they are. And this is still hot, the cranberries are hot. Take the lid. Now these poppers should go down. We'll see. I haven't filled it up to the top, obviously. No, you don't do that, so put that one out the way. What I actually do is move them over this side. Put this side. I didn't know how many jars I needed, so I did 3. I think I only probably need 2. And the little bit that's left in there, a bit too much for me. A little bit left in there would be for my turkey. And on goes the lid. So they're ready for Christmas. Well, it's time to get on with that stuffing. So here's the mix I made earlier. My bone's been cooking away here for about an hour now. I'm just going to add some of that liquid. Fork it in. Oh, I think that's good. It smells good, I know that much. Bring my turkey back in, and then we're going to put that on top of it. I made the sage and onion stuffing because sage and onion stuffing is very much a traditional stuffing here in the UK. You can make whatever type of stuffing you like, of course. Right. I'm going to bring that up over. I'm just going to tie it up. I'm not using any fancy knots here. Of course, you could use whatever knot you like. All I want to do is hold it together. Probably a butcher would tell me that's completely wrong, but who cares? It works. Let's move that back a little bit at the moment. Put my dish in, or my pan in, which I've already prepped with foil. Put that into it. A bit of stuff and escape, that's okay, that can sit in there, doesn't matter. I am going to add a little bit to this. It's got lots of pepper on it. And let's add a little salt. And a few dried mixed herbs. Italian seasoning, if you're in the US, will work perfectly. And another one of my old favourites, a little bit of garlic powder. I'm using garlic powder because it's easier to use than fresh garlic in this situation. Wrap it up. And yes, you guessed it, let's go on top of the stove. Oh, I was watching Richard Bobes look on the laptop. It's dark up here because the curtains are drawn. You can see the fire's going. There we go, now we can see it. Just stop the fan a second so it's not making a noise. So there it is, it's on top of the stove. The fire's not on very, very high. I might make it a little bit warmer in a moment to get it going, then let the fire back down again. So I'm going to cook it for quite a long time. I'm going to cook it for probably 4 hours. So let's come back to it later. As I said earlier, I'm going to do the vegetables. I'm not going to roast them as traditionally in the oven. I'm going to try and get a similar effect by basically, well, parboiling them and then stir frying them. But not all of them. I'm going to do a leek and cheese sauce. Some green beans here. Here I have potato, parsnip, some Chardonnay carrots and some swede. If you're in the US, you call that rutabaga, and a sweet potato. Now these hard root vegetables here, I'm going to parboil. The sweet potato cooks quite quickly, so I'm not going to parboil that. And of course the beans don't need it either, nor the leek. So we're going to get these in a pan. So my pan's on the stove here. I've just turned it on. And I'm going to add these vegetables here. You can do any vegetables you like. It's just what I happen to have. And to that I'm going to add, a teaspoonful of salt. Right, we're just going to bring those to the boil. Right, so let's get these leeks underway. I've got a saucepan out here. Just going to put that on the top there. I have a knob of butter. I've already grated some cheese, as you probably saw there. There it is. I'm going to start to melt that butter down. I'm just going to check my other vegetables which I am parboiling. Put them here. Oh, they're done. They're good enough. So we're going to drain those off. Right, I'm draining that water off, and I'm going to keep that water. Don't make a mess everywhere. So I'm going to use those flavours for my leeks. Let those drain off a bit, those vegetables. My butter's almost melted here now. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of plain flour or all-purpose flour. Quite easy ones. Mix that in the butter, make the roux. I'm also going to add to that, like, I don't know, some mustard powder, Coleman's mustard powder. Mix all that in, just making sure the flour soaks up all the fat. Now I don't keep milk on the boat because I don't drink milk. Now most people would make this with milk. But what I'm doing, I'm adding the water I cook the vegetables in. Add it a little bit at a time. I've decided not to buy milk just to make this dish with. They're one of the main things we need to do when we're cooking this down, the flour and everything. That's why I let the flour cook quite a while before adding any liquid. I did actually stop the camera for a split second. What I'm going to do here, rather than a spoon, I'm going to get a whisk out. Try not to make it too lumpy. I think milk does mix in easier than water. I hear you get less lumps, but or less chance of lumps. It's not too bad. You use a whisk and you'll soon keep it going. Right, it's just right come together now, that flour and everything. I've basically got most of the lumps out of it now. I can see the odd small one in there still, but it's only for me. I was actually cooking this for other people. I've actually now pushed this through a sieve, but as it's only for me, I'm not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to add the cheese. Now when you're using the cheese, the last thing you want is a cheese that's going to separate and make it all greasy. So make sure it's a proper cheese. This is extra mature cheddar, or if you're in the US, that'd be extra sharp cheddar. It's not one of these processed cheeses with added vegetable oil. I'm just going to mix that into the sauce now. Now the way I used to always do this was I'd put the leeks into this in a moment, cut up after the sauce was ready, then I pour the whole lot into a dish and put it in the oven to brown it. Well, as you know, my oven's not doing too well, so we're going to make the cheese sauce, which is just about done there now. You'll see there, no greasiness at all. It's a good proper cheese, no oil separation from it. Turn that off. Put my cheese sauce to one side. Move that kettle out the way. Put the one side out of the way for now. Put the lid on to keep it hot. I have some water boiling here. I'm just going to slice these leeks up into small rounds. They will fall apart as they cook a little bit. Sleepy. Once again, this is probably enough leeks here for about 4 people, So I'm going to be having leeks and a cheese sauce for days now. But there you go. And the packet of leeks had 2 leeks in it, and I've only used one of them. My water's come to the boil there. That was salted water, some sea salt in it. Drop the leeks into it. Actually, I think I'm going to put them in the dish. I'm going to drain them off, put them in the dish, put the cheese sauce over it, and I can put it under the grill just to brown it off. But at least it'll be cooked, and all it needs is browning. Right, my leeks are now cooked off. I'm trying to not get too much steam on the camera lens. I'm just about to see them in the corner of the picture there. I'm just going to drain those off. They're in the colander there. Well, I did have a different dish out a second ago, but I didn't need such a big one. I'm going to put my leeks in here. Take the cheese sauce. And pour all over. Right, so that's ready to go into the grill, because I can't put it in the oven, but I'm not going to put it in there yet because I'll get everything else ready first, and all I need to do is keep that really warm. I've already done one big pile of dishes a second ago before I started doing this. After doing the meat, I've got another big pile of dishes now. That's why I don't cook this type of thing very often. I like the one pot dishes. What I'm going to do, actually, right, I've actually turned the grill on. I'm going to put this in underneath the grill so it gets nice and warm in there, so it'll keep warm. So I'll put it in under the grill for a few minutes, let it get all nice and warm there. Then I can turn it off and it should stay warm for quite a long time. Then I'll just finish it off in a minute. The main vegetables. I parboiled a lot of them off. As I said, sweet potato I didn't. Now I'm going to do them in my wok. So I'm going to turn that on. Now this is where if I had some goose fat, I'd be using goose fat. I don't have any goose fat, so I'm going to add a little olive oil. Now I could do them just in olive oil, but I'm not. I'm going to add some dripping to them. So one of my good old favourites, the old beef dripping, which I've got from the other day still. And that's how that works. I want to make sure it melts down the inside of the pan and not down the outside. Making sure everything gets covered. I'm just making sure everything here gets covered in fat, so they take on more of a roasting effect than a frying effect. If I was just sort of stir frying them, I'd have a lot less fat than this. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I'm going to cook quite slowly, so they're finished cooking through, plus then I can brown them off and make them, hopefully, like roasted vegetables. I'm going to add a little seasoning to them in a minute as well, but I don't want to burn the seasoning, so it's going to go in later. Right, I've been cooking them slow then now for about 10 minutes. The sweet potato is now soft, so everything's now soft. I'm just going to turn them up a bit, so I can start frying off. I'm going to add a few mixed herbs, or Italian seasoning, not much. I could go out and get some fresh out the back deck. It's dark now, been cooking all day. A little bit of garlic powder once again. Rather than fresh garlic, it's a lot harder to burn this. When you're frying, you can quite quickly burn fresh garlic. I do have fresh garlic on the boat. I might have just put a sprig of rosemary in this if I could have been bothered to go out in the dark to the back deck. As I couldn't. Some mixed herbs will do. I didn't want to use dried rosemary because there's quite big leaves and it sticks to everything, and it's horrible to try and eat. So I didn't want to use that. A sprig of rosemary would have just sat in there and infused everything, and the flavours come out. Oh, and by the way, I've got a confession to make. I'm not going to show you how I make gravy. I forgot and threw the bone stock away, but I didn't use when I was washing up the dishes earlier. So there'll be no gravy. I don't use gravy anyway. I don't like gravy. So I'm afraid you're not even going to get to see me make it. Right, I think my vegetables are brown enough now. I'm going to take them off the heat. And move them to the back there. I have here the turkey. It's been off the heat for a little while now. It's probably been off about 20-25 minutes now, resting. I'm just sprouting off my leeks and cheese dish. It's a variation of cauliflower cheese, of course, that's all it is. Right, I think I'm in shots here. Here's my turkey thigh, which has been slow cooked on top of the stove. Remove some string. The plate's been warming. Let me just check on. I think that's okay under there still. Falling apart as I cut it. There's stuff in there which is falling out. So there's my turkey and stuffing. Some of my roasted sort of vegetables. Let's move the meat out of the way. I'll get this back into shot a bit better. There's some of my sort of roasted vegetables. I'm not going to eat them all. I can smell that cheese starting to burn. I've got to get that out quick. I'll use my fingers, it's me eating. Turn my cheesy dish off. I can smell it starting to burn there. Got to keep an eye on it. Oh, it's not too bad, look. Lots of that left over as well. Right, so there is my Christmas lunch, except for it's not. I forgot, I set my cranberry sauce onto a different plate. This was the, no, not in the jar. So that can go on there. Now I guess I better try it. You know what's on the plate, so I'm just going to pick it up and go for it. It's up here. So I've got a bit of the turkey, a little bit of the stuffing and cranberry sauce. Oh, the flavours in that turkey. That stuffing I made underneath it. That is absolutely wonderful. My leek, my cheese sauce. Leeks are perfectly cooked, and there's one hell of a punch to that cheese sauce. That is a real good cheese sauce, even if I say so myself. One of my semi-roast potatoes. They're tasty. Sweet potato. Parsnip. Oh, yummy, yummy. The Swede or rutabaga. Great combination of roast vegetables there. And a green bean. Perfectly cooked. A little crunch on them. Good flavour. And they're just plain boiled. Well, a very Merry Christmas to everybody out there. So I called this my Christmas meal for one. As you can see, there's enough turkey there for 4 people. I did enough vegetables for probably 3 or 4 people. But I've thrown another potato in with all those vegetables, been definitely enough for 4 people. But cooked on a bit of a budget. And it's not quite traditional. I didn't get Brussels sprouts. They looked horrible in the store yesterday when the store I was in. So I didn't get Brussels sprouts. That's why I got the leeks. You can always compromise, can't you? Always do something a little bit different. So as I say, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody out there. And I know this is not Christmas Day yet, but have a great feast, all of you. Well, that just leaves me one thing to say, doesn't it? Thank you very much for watching. Trevor out.